I'm Carrie Taylor. My husband Gordon and I started our step-family journey in 1986. We brought 5 children to the marriage. We have 9 grandchildren to date and are raising my oldest biological granddaughter, who has been with us since birth. Since 1988, we've been working with step-families and speaking nationally. Gordon is a licensed marriage and family therapist in the state of California. I'm a certified communication skills trainer and executive coach.
Our goal is to provide educational insights and encouragement for those of you whose lives have been touched by divorce and/or remarriage.
Few challenges in life are more difficult than bringing the pieces of 2 broken families together. With past hurts, high hopes, pre-existing relationships, different backgrounds, it can make it very tough to do.
You may be in a step-family system and not even know it.
You may be remarried with children already. You may be single with children and your ex-spouse is remarried. You may be a grandparent with adult children who have been divorced and/or remarried. Or you may have a family member that's in that situation.
If so, you are in a step-family system, and what you are about to see is for you.
In this series, we begin with the lenses of communication to introduce the skills that will facilitate addressing all other areas of step-family development. Targeted areas of step-family development are addressed in the following 5 presentations. Apples and Oranges identifies the foundational differences between first and subsequent marriages. The Bioforce Meets the Weakest Link addresses the complexities of relationship development in the step-family. In Step Discipline, we present what will and will not work for parenting in the step-family. Money and Stuff tackles the emotional impact that finances and possessions can bring to the step-family. What About Us? This is where fantasy and reality clash. Learning how to handle the couple relationship can determine how or if the step-family will come together. Stages of Step-Family War overviews and brings together all the dynamics of step-family living. In this 2-part presentation, the life experiences of step couples and step kids dramatically illustrate how to design dynamic step families. The lenses concept was designed to identify and illustrate the areas in which communication problems take place. One of them is our male and female differences. How many of you are aware that the male and female brains are different?
If emotions are the color of life, women live in technicolor, we men live in black and white.
The biggest mistake women make is trying to turn their man into a better version of their best girlfriend.
Well, and we men get into trouble when we treat women like our best buddy, you know, spit and chew and compete and do things together.
So keep your friends, your same-sex friends. Another lens is our temperament type differences.
What attracted me to Craig was what he did in his spare time, which was a lot of volunteer work.
What attracted me to Colleen was her energy, just the way she reacts or interacts with other people.
I saw her and I saw her eyes and I thought, wow, that is someone I would like to get to know better.
Well, what I was attracted to Randy when I met him was...
You weren't attracted to me.
You're right, I wasn't. I didn't remember you. Oh well.
Another lens is our family of origin differences.
I grew up in a big Italian family, and as everybody knows, Italians are kind of loud and noisy.
I grew up in a Swedish family, and we're a little more reserved.
I came from a background where I was raised in several different foster homes. When we met, one of the things that attracted me to you was the fact that you had this stable lifestyle.
My parents were divorced, I was divorced, and I brought a child into the relationship who was 14 years old.
I came from a nuclear family, very steady, 2 parents that were together forever.
The last lens presented is the history we create from the choices we make.
Now this is where the saying comes from, opposites attract, marry and attack.
In order for me to be happy, I had to have spontaneity in my life. And in order for you to be happy, you had to have scheduling and planning in your life.
Well, scheduling is essential for my mental health.
We spent 2 or 3 weeks looking for a stupid mattress.
Stupid? I mean that's, we spent 8 hours a night in a bed, and I have back trouble, so I need to have a great mattress.
I think we get locked in our lenses and think the way we see life is the only way to see life, then this is what happens. I see it from my point of view, you see it from your point of view, and we have this horrible collision when we really need to back off.
We would both have our defenses up. Gary would take a shot at me so that he would protect himself from me shooting at him. In essence, neither one of us wanted to be the first one to be shot.
We immediately found out we couldn't handle anything.
I was not as good a listener as I always believed I was.
One of the things I had to learn to do was shut up, basically, and give Randy an opportunity to come out and be able to express himself. I was filling up the relationship with me.
We realized that if we were going to make this work, we needed to get some help.
I had 3 daughters, and you had 4 sons that we were bringing to this marriage, and ranging from 4 years old to 19 years old.
With this many children and it being our 3rd marriage for each one of us, we really had to learn some new skills, some communication skills that we could take into this to problem solve and to further develop our relationship.
Without understanding the differences between first and subsequent marriages, we can get set up for unrealistic expectations.
I thought I found my white knight and he was just going to come in and take over.
I had this fantasy that we would get married, Bob would be the father of my child, with enough love we would make it perfect.
Of course, I love you, I love my kids. We're all going to love each other, right?
Most of us expected to lead these troops out of the wilderness, remember? We call it the Moses syndrome. Mr. Wander around the desert for 40 years because I wouldn't ask for directions.
And I also did not want to see anything but my fantasy of what I wanted for our marriage.
And what was that?
The perfect house, the perfect family. I really believed in the blended family, but nothing ever really blends.
As the new stepmother, I thought, wow, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to make everybody happy and heal everybody's wounds. And what a joke that was.
All of this takes time. Yet so many people jumping into remarriage think that this will form quickly. And they forget that we marry the package, everyone in the system, particularly the children.
Jealousy and resentment were an issue for me. When it looked like my dad was going to remarry, I had very strong feelings, and I resented the fact that most of his time was spent with his new family.
She was thrust in my life by no decision of mine, by no choice of mine.
Their lives have been shattered by our decisions.
When I was 10, my parents got divorced, and my whole world was turned upside down.
I turned to my friends, and I ditched a lot of school and managed to make it through high school, but turned to using drugs and drinking, just trying to numb the pain out.
So I developed a lot of resentment towards both of my parents because I got caught kind of in a back and forth battle of whose fault it was, and through that I really grew distant from both of them.
I understood that I had 2 parents, 2 loving parents that had to make quite a difficult decision.
They didn't get divorced. They had no choice in the divorce or the remarriage.
The number one cause for divorce and remarriage is the children, or more accurately stated, our inability to deal with them.
With all the personalities there, what you really bring is insanity. It's like going into the emergency room and thinking you know how to be a doctor when you've only watched ER for 5 years.
I was caught in the middle between Anna, my ex, my kids, and I was getting pulled from all sides.
You know, even in a nuclear family, they have problems. You know, they have problems and it's firecrackers and cherry bombs and M80s going off. In a blended family, it's, you know, smart bombs and bunker busters and cruise missiles going off. And it's a war.
It's like working on an automobile engine, only it's running. It's hot. I'm gonna get burned.
So we're in the step-family plane, and we're taking off, but we can't get off the ground. It's just one bump after another, after another.
I think that one of the advantages that we have over other couples is that prior to us getting married, we did the work. We took the classes to put ourselves in a position where there wouldn't be the surprises, that we would be educated on this, that we would understand where we were, what stage we were in, what's normal, what's not normal, and so forth.
The most unpredictable element in the stepfamily is relationship development. The sequence of slides presented are built and explained to illustrate the complexities. We address 3 bondings that take place: biological, legal, and emotional. Starting with the biological intact family with 1 child, if a divorce takes place, 1 biological parent is geographically relocated. When a remarriage takes place, new relationships begin developing and a new family is forming. When 2 biological families divorce and a remarriage takes place with a mine and a yours child, the bonding looks like this. The intensity increases when they add an ours child. They may even pick up a theirs child along the way. If one ex remarries, another family is forming and more relationships developing. If the other ex also remarries, the intensity escalates. This represents each parent bringing only 1 child each. Here's the difference with a biological intact family with 1, 2, 3, or even 4 children, a solid closed system. Contrasted with an open step system, the stepfamily's reality. Parenting is tough in any situation. Learning the principles of step discipline can smooth relationship development and enhance couple satisfaction. In this presentation, we contrast discipline in a biologically intact family with that of a stepfamily. In a biological family, we as parents stand united side by side with equal access to the children. In a stepfamily, we establish unity with the biological parent standing in front, supported from the rear by the step-parent. Each biological parent handles the discipline with their own children while the step relationships develop. This can set up the stepfamily dance when both bring children.
You know, your homework was supposed to be done, no TV, you have a game tomorrow, so off it goes, and you know, no fun this weekend.
See, I told you were gonna get it. No, that's a no-no for the step-parent.
As a stepfather coming in, was going to take over, which I had given permission for, but it caused so much conflict. I felt like a referee. I felt like I needed a striped shirt and a whistle.
We were in the park one day, and my son was having a minor problem, and I asked Craig to discipline him.
It backfired. Definitely a violation of Blended Family 101.
I've had couples that will not even talk to each other that are divorced, and all messages are delivered through the child. It puts a child in a very difficult, painful situation.
And this example is where they're emotionally not divorced. Legally, yes, emotionally, no. When it comes to money, this is the second most important issue that the stepfamily faces. Some people say that it is foundational to all issues in the stepfamily, and it is the second leading cause of divorce that the remarried couple faces.
Before the marriage, when we were getting into the difficulties about money, like everything, we just thought that love would conquer all.
In a remarriage, we bring assets, debts, and stuff, our possessions from a previous marriage.
I moved into her house, and she created some room, but not enough. So I had this big pile of stuff and not enough room to put it in.
My stuff has feelings too, you know. No, it has a history and it has memories attached to it. I didn't really realize that until a lot of it was gone.
We had a garage sale and lost a lot of stuff that way.
I came home from work for lunch and saw most of my possessions out on the dining room table.
And what I couldn't understand is, what purpose would we have for a cow hairball? And I'm not exaggerating, that was one of the things on the dining room table. I didn't know what it was. What is this thing? It's a cow hairball and I like it.
My son and I were alone for 10 years and there hadn't been women in our house. And so there was a lot of adjustments having a woman with a good nose in the house. You know, we were doing dishes, you know, once a week, worked with us, and trash came out once a week, and we did our laundry once a week, and then moving in with Colleen, I mean, some of these things had to be done every day or every meal. It was quite an adjustment.
One of the things that was difficult for me, even though Randy had lived in that house only a year with his former wife, I didn't have a sense of it being my home for years. We remodeled that house 3 times, and I think finally after the 3rd remodel, I had a sense that this was my home.
Also addressed in this presentation is how to build trust.
Trust is earned. It is not something that's automatic in a relationship. And yet I think many people go into the relationship and they're in love and they think, well, then we must trust each other. But trust has to have 2 elements: what I will do and when I will do it.
I had always considered trust to be something that was just assumed.
At the beginning, Joe lied to me about paying extra expenses for his ex.
Well, I was trying to keep the peace, and I don't think she understood.
We can violate one another when we don't follow through with the little itty-bitty commitments sometimes.
Tony would call when he said he was going to call. He would come over when he said he was going to. He was very consistent and slowly built a real trusting relationship because of that.
There is no standard model for handling finances in the Stepp family. Financial problems generate intense emotional reactions, which must be addressed before these issues can be resolved. Planning is essential.
We had this joint account that just was not working. So what we ended up doing is Joe got his account, I got my account, and then we established a separate account for the household expenses.
We came up with a plan. It was a 5-year plan where we would go ahead and start with separate finances, and then we would begin to slowly merge that.
It took us about 10 years to finally get our trust completed and get our wills in place.
After a number of years, we found that what works best for us is to have a little bit of mine, a little bit of yours, and a little bit of ours.
Our goal in the future is to dissolve her account and my account and to just have one account.
In this presentation, we take a look at the couple relationship and how it forms backwards.
How many of you thought you were going to have some great time alone as a new married couple?
This can be one of the most confusing and emotionally charged issues the remarried couple faces.
When we were dating, we had a window where we had a lot of time together, and then after we got married with kids and work and all the other commitments, we didn't have any time together.
Our honeymoon, but it was one night away. We had kids from out of town that we had to come back for and take care of. We had jobs that were driving our timeline. It was very difficult. It was like catching a train that's already moving.
We did some informal research with a group of Stepp families that we worked with for a number of years, and we asked them, how long did it take for the 2 of you to look at each other? And the average number that they shared with us was 5 years. Now, it ranged from 3 years to 7 years, depending on the number of children and the ages of the children that they brought with them.
Also covered in this presentation are the principles of primary and foundational as they relate to the divorced couple, the remarried couple, and the children, along with recognition factors for the remarried couple.
You know, when you're divorced, you get that big red D on your head.
For dangerous, dopey, delirious, damaged.
Dumb.
And then we had one gentleman in an audience say, and delivered.
Then you join a Stepp family. So now it goes from a big D to an SF. Stupid failure. Couldn't get it right the first time.
There is a predictable developmental cycle through which the Stepp family will travel. There are landmines and war zones to be aware of. Winning this war demands time, energy, patience, and perseverance. There can be great rewards and victories along the way.
Now we are entering the post-war era. Our Stepp Army has formed, and now we're marching together.
We found our place, and it's more comfortable. We belong. How do we know we're here? It's like a family feeling.
We're accepting the X's as a part of the Stepp family system, but remember, once you're in a Stepp family, you're never out of one. It never goes away.
We not only accept them, we welcome them in proactively. For whose sake? For our children's sake, no matter what age they are.
Now that we're down the road a bit, we can laugh about it.
Laugh a lot.
Laugh a lot, but at first I wanted to get rid of this biology, and now we honor it between her family and my family, and now our family.
What's the toughest troop movement that the first married couple has to deal with? Yes, launching and the empty nest.
We as Stepp families are launching the troops maybe every other weekend. We are constantly dealing with the grieving, the holding on, the letting go, the entering and re-entering.
I am very, very excited about building on that relationship with my father and my stepmother, including all my extended family, my mother, my brothers.
Now I love my new family. I wouldn't trade them for the world.
I think one of the highest compliments we've been paid, and it's come from our adult children, in one form or another, they've come to us and said, "You are our relational model." After all we have drugged them through, to be able to hear that from them has been one of the most exciting things, and to us, the task of remarriage.